Well, hi, and welcome to DTV. And in today's segment, I would like to talk to you about FF. And that's known as Facial Feminization, or the long version of that is Cranial Facial Reconstruction. Quite a mouthful. But I know that there's a lot of trans people who are very much interested in that subject. And I have had some experience with that because I have had a full cranial facial reconstruction. And essentially the nuts and bolts of that is that the male cranium is significantly different than a female cranium. And so the idea is to change the features of the male skull and to make it look and resemble with the right proportions and shape of a female skull. And the theory is that if you basically drape the skin over a newly ground down skull that has a female shape now, lo and behold, you look a lot more feminine. Well, the theory proves very true, and it is a very effective technique. The surgeon that did my work was Dr. Jeffrey Spiegel, who is the chief surgeon of the head and neck surgery department at the Distinguished Boston Medical Center in Boston, Massachusetts. He is a well-known authority on this and has been written many papers on the subject of facial feminization. He actually teaches the next generation of surgeons to do this procedure and has written the exams, prepared the exams for getting the qualifications to be able to do that. So he is very qualified and is also a very approachable and down-to-earth surgeon that is just a delight to be around. Excuse me, I would like to I guess talk a little bit about some of his work. It originated with the idea of what it is that the brain perceives as a female face as opposed to a male face. And he started his research with round circles and dots and lines that represented eyebrows and noses and mouth and overall shape, and moved those various features around in different aspects of thickness and thinness and its placement to look at control groups that would basically say, well, what is it that makes a male face and a female face? Well, it's interesting to note that one of the most significant findings was that the eyebrow, the extensive predominant male brow, was the thing that the brain sees as the most important feature in the brain determining whether or not you're looking at a male or female figure. And I guess this isn't surprising because if you look at, I guess, Neanderthal evolution, that basically cavemen, cavewomen kind of all looked the same back then, and in order to sort of look across and seeing opposing sides in war, that the ones that had the most prominent features as well as most prominent facial features were the ones that you could tell were males and a little bit more important to distinguish as being a formidable opponent. And it makes a lot of sense from that point of view that this brain triggering, I guess, spans over thousands and thousands of years. In terms of, I guess, the overall procedures themselves, essentially the work that I had done was quite extensive. I had a lot of work done. Essentially I was cut from one ear in behind the ear up over across the top and opened up from the top. I had my forehead, basically all the bones broken in the forehead, and pieces were taken out and made smaller and repositioned back in the forehead. I had upper orbital rims, which is the eye socket, burred down to make that look flat from the side. And I have had my nose redone to look smaller and narrower. There was a subnasal lip lift which lifted my lips up. Certain procedures were done for the cheeks, such as cheek implants. And then there was a grinding down of the chin and jaw. And essentially and the final thing is that the neck muscles were also shaved to give an overall smaller shape. Sounds really scary, and maybe it is, but I was kind of under, so I didn't really notice too much. But on the other hand, when I did awaken and I was going home, I felt perfectly fine in that there was very little pain. There was more discomfort in that I couldn't see that well and I couldn't breathe that well, but people at airports were horrified that I was even moving around, and there was actually very little pain, and I'm very lucky to say that. My procedures took 8.5 hours. I had a lot more work done at the time. And looking back, I guess when I think about wanting to do these procedures, a lot of times we sort of put things off and are too nervous, etc. But I wish that I had done it earlier in my life. As a matter of fact, I would probably recommend to people who have had a balanced life, do have a financial stability to their existence, and do have a very harmonious relationship with their people that they live with and family, that procedures be all done at the same time. And I've had them done over extensive periods of time, and that basically prolongs the transitioning, as well as it's much more costly. Whereas if things are done together at the same time, it's kind of like making a clay pot. You know, yes, you can put all the pieces together at different periods of time and then assemble it, but the artist really has a lot more to work with when they're working with the entire thing at one time. So you know, that isn't a across the board kind of statement, but I do feel that having most work done at the same time is more advisable. I guess, excuse me, in terms of cost, yes, you are going to have to dip into your pocketbook more, and I look at this as being a lifetime investment. There are people that could go out and spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on an automobile, park it in their driveway, and in 5 to 6 years have to replace it because it's worn out or rusted, etc. I still have that investment. As a matter of fact, I have every single penny that I have invested in all of my procedures, and I still have them. So it's not like it's money spent, it's money that I still have. And that's something that I have spoken at various conferences and helped individuals out with my practice and my business as a transgender life coach. I really enjoy talking to people on a one-on-one about various aspects of sexuality and gender, and it's just a thrill for me to be able to pass on information to you about things that I've done. Well, FF, and that's not to be confused with foot fetish, but facial feminization or cranial facial reconstruction is something that is really something that has definitely changed my life in a very positive way. I can't express into words the feeling that I felt afterwards and every day of my life since then. So if you are considering doing it, I'd be more than happy to talk to you if you want to get in touch with me through my website, through YouTube, or you can contact Dr. Jeffrey Spiegel's office directly. And there are many outstanding FF surgeons in North America. We're very lucky to have a handful of some of the world's leading authorities on that. I've had the privilege and pleasure of knowing most of them on a first name basis. I have frequented the transgender conferences all across the United States for the last 8 years, and many of the surgeons know me on a first name basis and on a personal basis, which is my privilege. I just wanted to share with you something that I felt was very important. I am going to be having a little bit of touch-up work soon, and look forward to that. And just one note about surgery is that yes, it can be an addiction, and it has the same characteristics of addictive behavior. So you have to sort of catch yourself when you find yourself saying, well, I'm going to get this done and I want this done, and then after that I want something else done, and then it just accumulates and it snowballs, and you kind of have to know when to say when, and you're cured when you say, I've had enough, I look good, and I'm very happy with who I am. And that's really the most important thing in life, is to really be who you really are. So anyway, thanks very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed that little splurb, and please get in touch, and we'll talk soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.